Hey guys, and how's it going? Hey, we're going to continue on this Batmobile go-kart that I picked up at a swap meet the end of last year. So, quick story behind it, it came from an amusement park, I believe it was Coney Island, and from there it sat behind someone's garage for about 30 or 40 years with all the weather attacking it, and it showed. All the tires were rotted off, everything was just a mess. The first video we got an assessment done on it and got the engine running. The second video we started getting into the drivetrain and getting power to the rear wheels. Put new tires on it, repacked the bearings, got the brakes functioning, and squared off all the drive system of it. It was a mess. So that's been taken care of, but on that video we were having problems with the carb overflowing and the fuel pump leaking. Got the carb off, I found out what was wrong with that. I'll show you that in a second, and then we're going to go jump on that fuel pump and see if we can go save that. So without further ado, let's go over to the bench and start wrenching. So on the carb, the problem was the float was not allowed to come all the way down. So it's upside down right now. That's off, that's on. Normal position, the carb is sitting like that. You can see fuel comes up, pushes the float up, shuts the fuel off. Well, the problem was, at first I thought it was the needle and seat having any issue, so I went and I polished it with a Q-tip and rubbing compound or lapping compound. But this right here, this, I'm gonna call it a deflector, was arched up. It was in the center right here, had a big hump in it, and it was not allowing the float to go all the way closed. And with a little bit of scissors, we cut that offending piece out, and I tweaked the post on the float a little bit just so it sits a little higher, and now it shuts the fuel off. That's the carb. Fuel pump, we haven't opened yet. So let's go get this area cleaned up a little bit and do some dissection, see if we can stop it from leaking and get it to function too. Crack some screws loose. Yeah, so that carb has like a breather hole, a vent hole, and that material is supposed to stop when the carb is bouncing around, stop the splash from going up the breather hole and into the base of the thing. I think it goes right into the throat of the carburetor. So if we have a problem later on where we're running it and we're going around a turn and it starts flooding itself out, that's what it is. I don't have one, so I would suspect fuel did its number on this. This was leaking right here on the seam. Judging by the external flappiness of it, it's probably pretty cooked. See if we can get her to pop free. There you go. I think we'd be able to pull that right out of there. Probably have to get the top to come off. Yeah, look at the crap that's coming out of there. Now if that diaphragm has a hole in it, we're screwed. We're not going to be able to use this. It's looking pretty crunchy. I do not have a rebuild kit for this neither. It's the problem with stuff that's 60 years old. And then there'll be a check valve. Yeah, there's two. Let's say, I'm surprised there's not two. So one will be on the way in, one's going to be on the way out. Little doorways allows fuel to pass this direction, but then when the diaphragm comes back up, it blocks it. And the same as with this one going the opposite direction. But it was leaking around here. Sometimes what happens is the body of it warps over time. I had a VW. I just showed this on the last. And I kind of think that's what's going on here. The body of it starts to warp. The corners come up and then it can't seal right here. So we can put this on a stone or a piece of sandpaper and flatten it out. How about the other side? The other side looks a little more beefy. It may not be an issue. You think that I bet there's some like trick to getting that out. Can we twist it? Ah, there we go. Yeah. You could even see kind of the coloring of it, where it's dark here, shiny there. So let's go see if we can square them up a little bit on some sandpaper, and we'll put it back to bed, and we're back together, and we'll just kind of give it the best hope. It has some movement in it, but not great. The fuel tank is kind of high up. Might be able to gravity feed it and bypass it. Yeah. Get rid of all this crap too, because all this right here is going to find its way into the carb. So that's got to get cleaned off of there too. Let's get some sandpaper. It's got a stone, but that should work. Soak some oil in it. Really want to do a figure eight, but there's not that much room. You can see right there where it's touching the corners, but not in the center. I think this sucks up the oil, doesn't it? So I'll keep working that. Both halves. So we get it smooth going right across. I'll bring you back. That looks pretty good. Let's go. Gotta get some of the crap out of them. Of the valves. That stuff come off. Because anything that's in there, it's gonna get it. Actually, this side should be dry. There should be nothing from this side. This is, I call it the oil side, the crankcase side, where the plunger comes up and works the diaphragm, but no fuel should make it through the diaphragm onto that side, which is going to be that side. This is the side that we definitely need to get purdied up. Alright, let me go clean that. A little bit of that. Some Scotch-Brite. I say it in most of the videos when we're dealing with old stuff. This stuff was not designed to run ethanol through. Ethanol is alcohol, and it attacks the rubbers. It deteriorates it. New stuff's meant to handle it. This stuff can't. So, if we continue to run this, should really try to run fuel that doesn't have ethanol in it. I hear we're going to 15%. Isn't that lovely? Talking about killing the old equipment. Yeah, it's got me a little concerned with all the wrinkles that are right there. Like I said, all you gotta do is get one hole in it, and then it's done. It looks like it might be actually a couple of layers though. Well, we're gonna find out when we put it back together. Yeah, give it a test before we put it on the machine. Yeah, it's about 50 cents. I swapped that piece of line over to the intake side. See if we can make it back in the pool. Plus it'll flush it out too. Not looking good. It's trying. I can see it pulling up the tube. I think one of the valves are not working well. There we go. Yeah, makes for a good flush. Just look at the body of it, make sure we don't have any leaks happening. Can I make the side of the pool deeper? There you go. I think it's okay. Those little check valves probably clean themselves up. Look at all the dirt that came out of the internals of it. That would go right in the curb. I will bolt that back on. Hopefully we don't see anything kind of going through the center of it too, because what will happen is the oil will start getting, the oil in the bottom of the engine will fill up with gas. Alright, let's go fire it up, see if we get any leaks. Can we do anything about this? We flip it around. Let me go trim that off. It's one of those ones, it's like a slinky. The more you give it a yank, it's just going to keep on doing itself. Break it off. That noise in the background is an air conditioner. Because we warmed up. It's 90 out. Hot for me. I like it about 50. That work? Kinda, sorta. There we go. Throwing exhaust in our face. It's gonna take a little while for us to prime. Let me take an air gun or a rag. I want to dry that off first to make sure we're leaking. Let's give her some choke. There's no fuel in the bowl because it's got to go through the fuel pump. The fuel pump's got to fill up and then fill up the bowl before it'll go. I'm out. Really? Not one thing. I think we might be fixing that. Alright. Uh-oh. That was the spring. Know what we're working on now? I say that's not a good start to things. I figure out where it's leaking from. Because it looks like it's wet up above, you know? Not a crack or anything in there, is it? That screw right there. Yeah, tighten them up more. We'll let that be while we're screwing with the pull start. So far so good. Let's go wiggle that out of there. Hopefully. It's going to be a tight squeeze. Get it around the fan. Come on now. I had this motor off too. Due to procrastination. So it's got screws holding the pull start on too. I tried putting a screwdriver on them. Talking about those right there. So let's see if we can get them free when we take the pull start itself right off the cover. Then the whole thing can come out. That's the old saying. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's not even tight. So when you pull on the pull start, little cams, these little cams flip out and catch on what's called a cup. And there's little indents on the cup. And then when you let off, these fall back into place. Well, we lost the spring, so we already know that it grenaded itself. Probably the little tab broke off one of the ends. No, they're both on both sides. Why is that on that side? That really took a ride. So that is supposed to catch on that. I bet you the screw was loose. It's got a screw loose. And it allowed it to lift up and made room for the spring to come off. It was going to fall apart no matter what. So the other end catches on what? Where is it? That end. That little paw has to grab on that. I think that's right. Can we get the rope? Yeah, see if we can get the rope out of our way. Try to get it wound up. So, hook the rope back up later. Get rid of that. See if we can get it to wind first. Hold on. Alright, so all of it needs to sit in there. It's already been wound too far out. Let's go explode it. So we need to kind of do one of those. Get it to shrink up small enough. I guess it's going to go on that one because it just looked different than all the others. I'm going to keep winding that up. I'll probably put some tie wraps on it and we'll cut them off after. So let me work on that. I'll probably put it in the vise. Well, it's all good except for one problem. It's upside down. It's got to go the other way around. The hook has to go on that side, not that side. Now all we gotta do is cut those off. It's the red wire or the blue wire? Like we're defusing a bomb. Come on, Allie. Yeah, that'd probably be the easiest one to get out, right? Stay. Yeah, good. Hopefully, because that way we can try to go catch that inner one. I was afraid it's going to stay too far away. See how this goes. A little bit of graphite instead of lube. Let's go with. Catches it. Now we gotta get all our goodies back in. You remember how it went? I think it was that under it? Not much left of it, whatever it is. We're gonna go like that. Is that washer even part of it? I think it was on that side. Let me in. You got room to catch. Let's go hit them a little too. I don't know if that's going to get down in there or not. That's supposed to spin, isn't it? In the center? Is it or is it not? Yeah, that's not gonna work. Probably why the screw was loose. So I have a feeling I've done assembled it wrong. Either that washer has nothing to do with it. I have a feeling that washer has nothing to do with it. I think that was from one of the screws that held the cover on. I think it goes like that. Let's find out. Wouldn't it need something that... Yeah. I'm gonna throw some more flint. I'm gonna show some. I'm gonna learn how to speak. I'm gonna throw some Teflon in this area some more. Get that to slide without lubing it up. That screw did back off, so my guess is it's having an interference problem. Yeah, that's more like it. When we get that sound of the catcher, is it going to skip on us? See if we can get. That feels pretty good. All right, I'm going to go wind it up and clamp it. Any more out of that? Where's our starter holes? Right there. We're gonna go feed the. We can go clamp this somehow. That's got it. Let's go twist the end of that a little so it doesn't come apart. Yes, I did move the gas. And we should be able to feed that through. Tie a knot in it. And I'm going to give that knot a little bit of heat too. Let's kind of glue it together. There we go. Let's go release that clamp. See how we made out for tension. We don't quite have it, but there's an easy fix for that. I'll show you that. Some of them will have a little indent on the wheel, and you could pull material or rope up through there. I'm just going to go grab the excess. Yeah. And I'm going to wind it up a little bit more. Should have enough room to make it. I should probably go 2 times around. One more. Hopefully that's not the spring skipping. I don't think so. We're going to find out right now. Pull that excess through. There we go. Hopefully that stays together. Let's go plop it back on. Let's see how our fuel pump's doing. A little bit on that corner. I'm gonna go try tightening that up a little bit more. It's pretty tight. I got them really cranked down. Hey, let's go try it again. Choke is on. Throttle. I don't know what we got for throttle. So I take a little bit to fill the float bowl, like I said. maybe not. Let's open it up. Let's turn the idle speed up a hair. I think we're losing our muffler. I'm leaning in on it. There we go. I'll say it leaks. Must be up there a little. Fire it up again. Get some revs out of it. Running out of gas, it's just sucking air. There's not enough fuel in the tank. We don't have a kill switch yet. So there's our kill switch. Good. I think we're okay. Let that set a little bit. It looks like it's, again, a little bit around the top up there. I can live it a little. Yeah, that's what it's doing. Hopefully it doesn't keep flowing and running down though. Let that sit for a little bit. Tighten the bolt nut up a little, see if that does any better. Just short that out. Let that sit for a second. Yeah, it's still wet up there. Yeah, it's running down. I know the O-ring is crap that's inside that, but I'm gonna try to help it a little bit, get a little bit more tension on it. So the bowl nut threads up to a post that's sticking down in the center of the carb, and that's all that puts pressure on this edge to push up on that seal. But if that's making contact at the same time that is, there's not much preload on it, so we're just gonna go and tap that down so that when I tighten it up, there's a little bit more pressure on that edge. Well, I think we should jump to getting the throttle hooked up, the brakes hooked up, that kind of thing. And then we can finish up steering, front wheels, and steering. I'm gonna run a vacuum around, clean some of the crap out of here, and then see what we got. Everything looks pretty intact. Again, everything's built like a tank, so it does kind of seem to hold the test of time. I think the brake pedal's stuck, the lift is on the rod under it. A little bit of that. I said a little, not a lot. Overkill. Barn chain oil for a chainsaw. Lube, it's wet. It'll work. We got pivots down there. I think we got to get them from underneath. Except for that one. We can get that one up here. Might as well hit the one for the brakes too. When in Rome, do Roman things. Alright, let's go make a piece of linkage up for the back. So I got a spring just shoved on it. I was just holding the throttle down. You should be able to get rid of that. And they made, looks like a piece of coat hanger, bent up and around, then the spring was lower. They had a spring, yeah, this one right here. Actually still hooked up. That's why the gas pedals were turning. I say we cut this right off. Maybe we'll make up our own coat hanger. Maybe a welding rod. I say we go for this funky bent one. Got enough strength to it. Yeah, that'll be good. Nope, ain't gonna fit. Had to go thinner. That was too fat. We've gone from 90 degrees to 50 and raining. So we're just trying to make ourselves a little hook on this side back to itself like a circle. Ah, get on there. Alright, so the gas pedal, that's full throttle, right? That's idle. We're going to go right about there. Gotta do the same on both sides, I guess. Right around so it can't pop out. Pretty much what they had too. Alright. Idle. Full throttle. Is it getting full throttle? Pretty much. Let's go tighten those little unions up a little bit better. I think that should hold it. This is a return spring for it. Kind of a mess. Supposed to hook on there. Let's clean that up a little. Let's get rid of some of this junk. We'll see if we can pick one loop off of it. You could try and bend it, but it'll fight you. It's good you can take a hammer. See if we can get a good spot on it. Take a hammer and just kind of give her a good whack on a sharp edge. End of a vise works pretty good. Something like that. Yeah, I gotta go loop that through there. I'm gonna shave a little bit more of that off so it doesn't have a sharp edge on it. Got it? Yeah. There we go. That won't fall off now. So the lift bar, it's going across the frame, is hitting on the brake lever. I'm going to let it back down, put a couple of 2x4s on each side, give it a little bit of space, and we'll get that brake pedal set up. Flaps now. Let's see what we got on the other end. Here's the other end of that. Normally that pin would go in there, but it looks like it has a slide or something on it with a spring. So that would want to push backward. Yeah, it's just, I think that's just rod. And is that an adjustment? Looks like this maybe twists inside here and it's all the way in pushing that plate. Will it be okay, or should we free that up? Let's just go throw a pin in it and we'll see how far the brake pedal travels before the brakes come on. Yeah, see what it does. Just could be long enough. We gotta get that. It's got a return spring too. What if she get a longer bolt maybe? It's got kind of that same setup. Probably went around. Let's go see what we get first. Let's see if that does what we want it to do. As long as it's. Yeah, that sucks. It's all the way down. We're gonna need to get more. Is there some in the front too? We could probably cut that rod down, right? As long as that threaded rod is long enough to. And it's to the floor. Yeah, let's go take the end of that apart. See what we can do. I just took the whole rod out from underneath it. Yeah, it looks like that spring already even broke. It's kind of like doubled up on itself. And I think this rod goes to this plate. So this is all one piece. And when you hit the brakes, it's supposed to have some cushion in between the high and the low. I don't know how this would come apart. It almost seems like it's one piece, doesn't it? Because I don't see any threads on these. Like, how would you unbolt an end of it to take it apart? I wonder if possibly we don't. Do we not even worry about it? Like, these would have to be bolts that come out, wouldn't they? How else would you get that out of there? We go run a wire wheel on it, clean some of the crap off. Kind of looks like it was put together and then welded. It looks like it was assembled and then they just kind of welded up the ends. Let me go clean it up. Yeah, it's pretty much what it is. It's welded here, 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 and here. So this part's not going to come apart. But I think, like, that's open in the center there. We could unthread the rod. This is not, I don't think, attached to there. I think it's just run all the way in. Possibly, if we can get it to spin, this is essentially a nut holding it all together. We could run all this out, get all this crappy spring out of there, clean up everything and put it back together. Let's go see how that works out. Probably start trying to get the thing at least fairly straight. Always forget to tighten that up. So we can spin it out of there, you know, in a straight shot. Let's put this in the vise and we'll put a wrench on this. I think we're gonna have to put a bunch of heat on, but let's just see what we get. So we want to go clockwise? I think so. Don't know if the... Yeah, it'll go. Let's get some lube on her. I didn't want to put the lube on unless, because if I was going to put heat on it, I'm going to burn all that off. Is it doing anything? That rod goes straight through that. Yeah. Let's get some back there. Lube in the backside. There you go. See if we can find something a little bit better than that. We'll take a wire wheel, we'll clean all this crap up. Maybe we'll beat that back into submission a little too. A little bow-legged. Close enough. Dug through my stash. This one's kind of light. Both the Yo Diesel on the large side. But let's go stack what we had for pieces up that came out of that one. And if we have to, we'll cut it back a little. It's starting to look like the same size though, isn't it? Yeah. We'll leave it the full length. So this went on which side? This side, right? Yeah. So that would have to go in there. Then the rod go through it. Gonna launch it across the room. And that gives, I guess, so you can't just lock the brakes up. It's probably what they don't want them to do on the track. Fishtail it. Sounds like something I wanted to do though. There we go. Yeah, so if we can get the rod to go through there, it'll hold on that part. Right? Oh. Time to start. Go pop it in the vise. We should be able to like pull on it, and then this should kind of collapse a little bit. Let's pretend we're hitting the brakes. Yeah. That's what we want. Did that spit out? Oh, it's another little spring. I'm like, did that spring spit out some spring? Kinda. But the problem is now it's too long. I wonder if we should just take and cut some of the rod out of it and leave it so it has adjustment. The brake shoes are worn down, probably is what the real issue is. So they got taken up by the rod. We got back together, and the brake pedal is up. And so right there, the brakes are on. Off, on. I think we should probably make it even a little bit longer. Can we spin it? Let's put the pin in right there. As long as the brakes don't drag and we get a decent pedal, I think we'll be okay. The lift's got me right now. It's hitting the lift. Gotta go a little bit higher. But I think what happened was that was collapsed. It was actually making the whole assembly longer because it was staying, you know, pulled out. Now it's retracted, so that's where the plate needed to get taken up. Actually, judging by the rot that's on this side, I think we'll omit this one. Try to find a newer one. We now have the deluxe model. Those one spring jobs for us. We got two. Couldn't find anything long enough. And then I got a longer bolt on it, and when I lifted it, it gave us more room. I did spin it 2 turns out to give us a little bit more play, but it's got a good return for it. That should be fine. Or run that in. That's a jam nut, so that's not going to back off. And if we need to, we'll tweak it a little bit later. So it should be able to have the brakes get applied right about there, and then that spring should kind of take over. So, you know, little kid went and slammed the brakes down. He didn't go locking it up, I think is what the point was. And if that don't work, I guess you just use the emergency brake. It's the next step. All right, what do you want to do next? We need a kill switch. Maybe we should just try to like concentrate on getting the power assembly done, and then we can fix the front end and put the shell on. Somewhere, well, this turns, so I don't want to make it so you have a wire that spins around the column. I don't know, can we attach it there? Is that a crappy place to reach to? I guess if you get ready to crash, you want it someplace that's fairly easy. Should be good on the steering wheel, but again, I don't want it, because it's not like it's you know, it's not like it's lock to lock like that much. It's, you know, it's 3 turns around. Let me think about that. Maybe even, I guess the best way is to hop in, the seat in it, kind of, sort of. Let's see. Oh, that's close. Thought I had more room for some reason. 2 little kids on each side, or I'm guessing this will be out of the way. Oh my god. Now what are you gonna do? I'd say we go for the tunnel. Let's go for, maybe go right about, might be something like in a panic, you're crashing into a tree. You can kill it. I think so. We flick it forward and back. We see what we got for switches. Ugh. Big man in a little boat. Big man in a little coat, I think is what it's supposed to be. Yeah. It should be easy to kind of access too in the tunnel. We can wire it first and kind of run it through. Can we go back a little further? Just for the sake. Yeah, let's do that. Let's try it right there, because I think that's a closed tunnel to try to get the piece on the other side of the switch. I just made up a section of wire. And that should be run. We flip it back, should short out. And all we're going to do is hook one end to ground somewhere and one end to the points, and it's just going to ground the points off and shut it down. Hopefully. Find out. All right, let's go get that in there. I say we go for about as far as I can reach to get the switch up, which should be about that far. So we'll go for right there. Should we offset it a little? Yeah, let's offset it to that side. Nope.
That's some thick stuff. Try it again. I'm gonna go over a little bit. I'm trying to make it so that the rod won't interfere with it. A little more. Alright. Okay, snaky fingers. Do your thing. Get up in there. Come on, you can do it. Watch, it's so thick I can't get the nut on. There you go. Probably try to get a washer, huh? Yeah. So that'll be off. That'll be on.
Back by the motor, really all I need to do is splice into this wire. That's the signal from the points, and you can ground it out. It kills spark. But I'm going to try to pop this cover off. Hopefully I can run a wire up next to it. Probably screw on to that same terminal if there's enough room. If not, I'll tee into it. And then the other half of the wire can go ground out on a bolt. Probably that one. Maybe right there. So that's all it is. I jumped on that same post where the red wire is. So we go down to out to the switch, come back and pick up ground over here, and both of them are just unscrewable. So if you need to pull the motor, we can. So hopefully I can put the cover on and nothing interferes. Gotta get that wire tucked over because that cover has a little slit in it for the wires to fit out of, but it still has that kill button, you know. It has to be able to push on the center and ground to that post. I think we'll be okay. We're gonna find out right now. Let's go try that switch, see if it fires up first. I'll give her some choke. Got spark. There you go. All right, let me go label that real quick. All right, so we got brakes, throttle, kill switch, and I think that's it for components running to the engine. Again, the gas tank will get set up because there's a gas tank on the chassis, the body. We'll deal with that when we put that on there. So I'll probably put like a fuel shut off and some other things. But for now, we can finish up getting probably the front end fit, and then we're done with the chassis part of it. Steering, it functions. I think maybe what we'll do is just kind of wire wheel some of this crap off of here and just pack it with grease. I don't think it needs any other love other than that. Everything else looks pretty good. I don't think it's going to break any ball joints or tie rods. We got to do the wheel bearings. I know they're crappy. I think one of them was growly, wasn't it? Yeah, that one. So let's get this cleaned up and then we can jump over to the wheels. Yes, it's mandatory you make those noises. I think for the most part, it's just going to keep the rust down. I don't know what it's got for the gear that's inside there. I'm not going to bother splitting that up. If it was bindy, I probably would. But it seems like it's pretty free. We'll just keep working it with that. That was simple. No, they said that something will break inside there because they didn't take it apart. And maybe just a little up above there on that pivot point. Got read that. I think it's funny that the one over here is noisy, and this one is quiet. That one's missing a dust cap. It's all full of dirt and crap. That's probably why it's quiet. It's just packed with sawdust. You know what's bad? When you have to hit them with a wire wheel and they got pits in it. You could hide a small cat. Yeah, definitely sat in one place for a long time. I'm actually going to hit that, believe it or not, with a wire wheel. Just to knock off whatever corrosion is in there. We'll do our best to pack it with grease. Does it need new bearings? Yes, yes it does. So you're going to get them? No, not now. Run what you brung. Oh boy. Yeah, they suck. They are horrible. Yeah, we'll give them the old in the plastic bag routine compared to squishing them through with your fingers and packing them. We'll do it this way. Keep the heebie-jeebies off of us. Squish her through. You can't get it back. I don't think it's going to do much for it, but at least they got lube on them. This thing, again, if it was a car going down the road, its life expectancy would be very short. But this is going to go putt around for a day. Probably get about 10 miles put on it. And I'm betting they'll survive that long. And the problem is, I don't always shut the camera off. Oh. And that was the side with the dust cap. And you think this one's gonna fare? It actually sounds better. I don't know, maybe the other side held water in it. Caused it. Let's go find out. And the side with no dust cap on it. Perfect. Go figure, right? Should leave them all off then. That side's nice and quiet. The other side, not so much. Alright, make the noise. You know you want to. Good. Got the wheels on the front. I do believe that makes it a roller. Should we put the body on or try to demo it? I wonder if we could run it off of that tank and just flop the seat in if there's any issues we have to address. And we may want to move it to a bit better non-collision location. And see what I can come up with. The old cap and a new cap. Got a weird rubber plug in the center, right? Not quite sure. He said it's to have access to put grease in them. It's kind of weird. Wouldn't you just take the cap off? I think the last thing before we put the body back on is try to get this off of here, because I'm not sure we're going to be able to use that exhaust pipe. Is kind of trash, that little flexible one that's on there. And I'm sure there's some movement between the body and that. So let's get this off of there, and possibly we'll run a straight pipe. Or I think I might even have flex pipe that's this diameter. I'm giving this a slim to none chance of breaking loose without heat. Yeah. belts. How about the whole thing spin out of there? Ooh. Double duty. Breaks the cylinder head off. No. All right. Let's go see. Possibly we just cut it with a sawzall. Gotta roll this. I have a feeling it's gonna be the same size as the pipe though. Yeah, I think it's the same size. Does that fit in there? It's got a lip around the outside edge. I don't know. I bet you if we got that off where the taper was, it would have went. Let's go see. Let's go check the other end out. It's not folded over as much. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that'll do it. We'll worry about it. We'll put the body on. I can get in there with a sawzall and cut this end off if we need to when it's in the car. It's in the when the body's on it, I should say. Well, I'd say before we put that back on there, let's go deal with the gas tank. I think it's got two straps kind of holding it. I think that's where the little bolts are. That one and that one. Should get that, what do you call that, chimney strap? Antenna? Yeah. Let's undo those, see if we can drop that tank down and deal with whatever. Should have dealt with that a while ago, I think. All right, see what we get. All right, so you want the good news or the bad news? Yeah, the good news, tank's out. Bad news is, see if we get this right. It is all cruddy inside there. You're saying, well, that's not too bad. And here's the problem. There is a wall. You can see there's a wall right here going inside that they welded when they were putting it together, or soldered, however it was put. So although I can clean out that section of it with like muriatic acid to get all the crap out of it, I'm not going to be able to make sure that this section is clean and the pet is over on that side. So I don't think we're going to be able to get it. Actually, it looks like it's blowing out anyway. Judging by the looks of that, it's starting to seep through. Yeah, it's going to be rotted out. So we'll leave that tank out. And what we'll do is we'll probably try to get a plastic tank someplace. Once the body is back on, we'll try to figure out some place to feed it fuel and not use that. I probably should have looked at that a long time ago. We could have been proactive, but hey. It's a hovercraft. Now to lower that and slide it underneath there, and hopefully lower that right back on with no problems whatsoever. It's hitting the steering wheel. Guess I should have thought that one through. Oh. We'll get her close and drop her. Close enough we can wiggle it around and get the bolts on it. That saved my back. Well, I got the four main corners bolted in, and where the gas tank was, had some critters hiding up inside there. A little wing on the other side, this area, was pack solid. All right, so we need to get exhaust going out, which you had the flex pipe going out of this hole before. You could probably do something. Are we straight line or we gotta? Yeah, it's not straight. I got a piece of solid pipe too that we could possibly use. And we gotta get a gas tank in there. I would say this is probably our only area, that or maybe right back in here somewhere. Let's go see what I got for tanks. If not, we'll just use that little red one that we're using before for the supply. Wiggle that in somewhere. The big tank was for, you know, when it sat at a park and would run all day, so they didn't want to fill it up every 45 minutes or an hour because it was constantly running, so they ran a larger tank. I don't think we need to deal with that. We were in my secret stash, as you want to call it, my stash, and we are looking for a gas tank. There's that little orange, green. Let's go grab that one. Now we're not gonna have an outlet for that. There's a couple. That's one of those four-wheeler tanks. Two lines coming out of it. I like just like a regular snowblower tank. That one will be good right there. Let's go see if we have anything off before I wrench and steel. You would think I would have one. How about up here? And a plethora of hidden engines. It's probably just as rusty inside as rust is pouring out of a hole. Yeah. Yeah, that one's not going to work. And anything else? See anything? You got a red one right here too. Problem is a lot of the metal tanks, which is what I prefer, have a tendency to rust out though. Just sitting. What about that one? Looks like it was held on by the same way too. Oh, she's purty inside too. All right, so we'll grab that one. It's kind of tiny. I said if we could find I don't know, should we steal this one? Yeah, let me see about unbolting that. Let's go check it first. See if it's worthwhile. Yeah, that one's clean too. Good. Go grab some wrenches. Or how about a plastic one right there on a little crappy snowblower. And with the seat out, we should have room to wiggle our way in. Let's see how that goes for us. I think that'll work out. He wants to favor that side. See if we can spin it around. Yeah, man. I'll tell you, we want much bigger. Yeah, that way it looks pretty good. I wonder if we could actually just drill the two holes that the bracket. Okay, get back out of here. Can we just drill those two holes? Have it drawn up. Should probably take this lip right here. We'll grind this off so it can come up more. Yeah, let me do that. We'll get rid of that. We should be able to figure out right where we need to go. That may work. And we could probably even just take those straps that were on there too. The two that are hanging, see if we can kind of make them around and give them a little extra support. But it could hang from that for the most part. Might melt it. It melts it, but that should do it. I'm gonna leave the cap on. I don't want to get all the crap inside it. I got two bolts in it, started, but it wants to go to this side. Just it was either going to be one or the other, so I think we need to do just a little trimming Just can't get the gas cap on. Plus I think it'll draw up a little bit further. I want to say something like, roughly like that. Oval that out. Because you think the cap would go on, but no, she don't. Hope it's enough. And factory. Other than the bright red cap. The exhaust pipe's a little on the high side. Let's see if we can pitch it down a little. It did. And the original pipe, it is flex pipe, right? It's supposed to flex. I think we'll go with that for now, but I'm probably going to change it later. That's what they had. I'll hammer that on a little further or run a fuel line. Who's your daddy? More than that. I don't think it's going to fall off. It does need a little bit more downhill. We'll go with that. It's just going to split if I try nailing it anymore. I know I got other stuff to chase, but I think we're close enough to do what we need to do to putter around. Still need an air cleaner yet, and I'm going to see, so air flows up across and it's supposed to go across the engine and cool it. I don't know if that was removed for a reason or not, but I'm going to go run it. We'll see how it goes. If it runs hot, I'll either try to find one or I'll make a shroud. It doesn't need to go all the way. I think it just kind of goes to about right here and meets up to that. So you can just bend a piece of tin for it. But I also eliminated the fuel pump. We'll see if we need it. I ran the fuel pump just back to itself. If not, we'll just plug the fuel line in that side and hook that back up to the carb. So I got the gas tank, line runs up, around, it's got a fuel filter in it, and I got a fuel shut off. Let's go dump some gas in it, see what we get. I got a little in the tank. Let's see if that fuel filter fills up. I don't see anything. Alright, the bottom of the tank is flush with that. Yeah, so that's definitely lower. It's 2 or 3 inches lower. Only thing I could think of, I don't think the carb is, if the float was full, it would not allow anything to go through. Let's go give her a little positive reinforcement. That do it? That did it. Whether it stays running or not, we'll find out. Let's go give her a little fire. She stays running. I'm gonna choke up my hand. Oh, you know what? Gotta turn the run switch on. Run for a second. See if it stays running. Hit the brake, see if that stops. Got warm up a little too good, just that air fuel mix. whined on that full start. I think we can plop that seat in there, set it on the ground. All right. Shut that off. We won't have to worry about any overflow out of the carb. Hopefully that doesn't leak. They have a tendency to. Yeah, as long as it maintains fuel.
Go for a ride?
Push is easier when it's running. Forward anyway. See? That clutch really slips. Holy! She is definitely a bouncy ride, because the only thing it has is the tires. Ah, she died. Oh, I hit the kill switch. Getting out. That would do it. Well, it's definitely not made for this kind of terrain, just saying. Not for a flat track. Those tires get bouncy, boy. I think I almost flipped it once and definitely got it on its side. Seems like it's doing good. Popping a little bit. I don't know if it's dancing around so much that the fuel's kind of starving a little. Just need some hours on it. That and the clutch seems like if you hit it full throttle, it doesn't engage. You got to back off for a little bit for it to grab and then go. So I should probably pull that apart and look into what's happening with it. Seems pretty dry. I don't see any issues. That's what they call it, a shakedown run, right? Literally a shakedown run. Well, we got an event to go to in a couple of weeks, hopefully weather permitting, and we'll get to take this thing out and go for a cruise on an actual track. This is, again, just literally a shakedown run to see what would come out of it. I'm not going to run it too much harder in here because I know I'm going to break. I think it's running out of gas. I think it just ran out of gas. I got to go get some. I didn't put much in it, but it does pretty good. I'd say top speed is max out at 20. If you get a good straightaway and let the clutch grab and then back off again. Alright guys, I'm gonna go get some fuel, fire this back up, bring it back to the shop, and then hopefully we'll see it, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks. It'll make a debut again where we're doing some actual running on a track. Till then, thank y'all for hanging out with me, doing some wrenching, and we'll do it again sometime soon. Till then, later. Now the belt's slipping, that's what's going on. That's what, it's not the clutch, it's the belt. Alright, we gotta go deal with that. At least we know what it is, at least that clutch isn't cooking.